Here we are back again for another episode of the Maverick Makers podcast. I am pretty pumped because this week we have Julie Cole. She is a recovered lawyer, mom of 6, and co-founder of Mabel's Labels, Inc. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, best-selling author, and sought-after speaker and emcee. Julie is no stranger to the media, having appeared on NBC's The Today Show, HLN's Raising America, Breakfast Television, The Marilyn Denis Show, and the list goes on and on. When she's not juggling her busy family and professional life, Julie is an engaged community member serving on boards and volunteering. She is passionate about women's issues, mentoring young entrepreneurs, and social justice. Julie offers so much amazing advice. She talks about her journey, and we just have the most fun conversation. I know you will love this episode, so let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the Maverick Makers podcast. I am so excited to welcome Julie Cole, co-founder of Mabel's Labels, to the show. She is she's amazing. She has an amazing journey to share, and I can't wait to dig in. So let's go, Julie. Welcome.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited about this conversation. I love it. I love the name of your podcast too.
Oh, thank you. And we're going to talk about that today. So
yeah,
start with that. So when you hear the word Maverick, what do you think of?
Oh, I like it. I think it's a bit juicy. I think of somebody who goes like a little bit rogue, a little bit outside the box, but does it with, with a bit of zest and with some success too. Like it feels, I love that. I love the word.
Perfect. I love that answer. Juicy. I'm going to put that one in my list of descriptives for the word.
Yeah, juicy. Yeah.
In your bio, it says that you're a recovered lawyer. Let's talk about this. What does that mean?
Yes, recovery is going well. I did a 12-step program. So, when I say it, I a bit tongue in cheek. I was a lawyer, and when I left practicing, so when I started the business, obviously, so recover, just a fun way of saying that I'm a non-practicing lawyer turned entrepreneur, lawyer turned label maker.
Any regrets leaving law?
You know what? No, I mean, this has been quite an entrepreneurial journey. It's been a really fun ride. It's been a lot of fun. Now, I will say at the beginning, I thought, why did I bother going through all of that? Like law school was kind of hard, like it was hard. And, I didn't practice for very long before starting Mabel's Labels with my 3 friends. And I did wonder if it was all worth it, but I'll tell you what, I think like anything, it's part of the journey. And I will tell you that it does come in handy. I mean, not only does it come in handy when I'm negotiating with my 6 children, it comes in handy as an entrepreneur because, you can review contracts, you can help set up a shareholders agreement. I can write cease and desist letters. So I think it gave me a basic skill set that also has been valuable. And I think, when people do have that pivot or that shift, not to regret maybe all the time you spent doing other things, because those skills and that experience will always come in handy. No regrets.
Good to hear. Amazing. Yes. Everything. I agree with you. Transferable skills all the way.
Exactly. Exactly.
You got it. Yeah. So what was it like going from, I guess, an intrapreneur to an entrepreneur? And let's talk about your Maverick journey and how Mabel's Labels came to be.
Right. Well, yes. Well, it came to be and I do think, knowing the why of anything you do is so important. And our why was twofold. There was a product missing from the market, along with my co-founders. So my co-founders are my sister and 2 good friends from university, actually. And they went on to marry my brother, my young uncle. So I'm a bit of a matchmaker too. And so it also is a family business. So lots of layers going on there. But what we found was we were young moms and there was a product missing from the market. There was nothing that would, we could put on our kids' bottles and our sippy cups as they went off to play groups and daycare and things like that. And even just hanging out with each other, we all had the same stuff and it was getting mixed up, right? So we thought there must be something out there, and there wasn't. So it was good entrepreneurial mamas do. We created something. So that was the first reason, just filling a gap in the marketplace. And then the second reason for me particularly was that my eldest child had just turned 3 and received an autism diagnosis. And I didn't think the traditional workforce would suit his needs, my changing family needs. So I thought, you know what? Entrepreneurship, now's the time. It will provide some flexibility that my life now needs. And so that's when I said to the girls, shall we go? And they're like, let's go. And that's the story of our Maverick journey, how it all started.
That's amazing. I love this story. That's fantastic. And what's it like working with family?
Oh, so okay. So it was great. I mean, there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons for sure.
Right.
Like, those early days, it was great because it was the 4 of us and we could cover for each other. We were all taking mat leaves, having kids and that sort of thing. So we could really be there for each other and be that support. It also made it so it wasn't such a lonely journey. Entrepreneurship can be very lonely for solo entrepreneurs, particularly 21 years ago when we started, when there was no Facebook group or no, like networking was in real life. So it could be very, very lonely. So we had each other, which was wonderful. The other advantage for us was that we had 4 very different brains and 4 different skill sets to bring to the table. And I really do think that contributed to our early success. And of course, it's tricky too, because, you're talking about business all the time. Like our family events would turn into Mabel gossip sessions. Like we could be found at cousins' weddings or at Christmas or things like that. Just the 4 of us huddled in a corner talking about our new baby, right? And also you had to make sure that when we had those feisty boardroom conversations that we could walk out of there and still, be good and be able to manage we also have a cottage together. Like, this is like, we're pretty tight, right? So we had to really be able to manage that. And, it was tricky at times. And we learned a lot of lessons along the way. We learned how to best communicate with each other. We learned about each other's different communication styles. So it was definitely a learning journey. And whenever we messed up, we'd be like, okay, we're practicing, we're learning. We'll do better next time.
I think kudos to all of you because partnerships are hard. And the fact that you have 3 other partners and that you've been doing this 20 years strong, honestly, is huge.
Yes. Now there was a big change. Clearly, like we went through an acquisition about 5 or 6 years ago. And at that point, 2 stepped away because they just wanted to do other things. And one of the other partners, she stayed on as a general manager for a while, but now she's moved on to other things. And I'm the last one standing. So I'm the remaining partner still at Mabel's, but everybody's gone off to do really fun and exciting things. We had a wonderful 14, 15 years together and we created so much, like we won Women Entrepreneur of Canada Award, lots of awards, lots of kudos, lots of, lots of excitement in the journey.
Good for you. Amazing. Love it. Where's Mabel Labels now? Like right today?
Where we are today. So we are actually in our same production facility and office space that we've been in since 2007. It's taken on different iterations. Now it's a 20,000 square foot facility. It's beautiful. We just did a renovation and it's gorgeous. Our production facility is beautiful and it's so efficient. Our customer service team lives there, our marketing team, IT, finance, everybody lives there and it's super fun. And it's in Hamilton, Ontario. We also have a production facility in California as well, because obviously we have a lot of American and Canadian orders. We have orders from everywhere. I mean, we're a web-based business, right?
Right. I love it. Fantastic. I understand that you love mentoring entrepreneurs. So I'm going to ask you, what's the best piece of advice you could give someone who's looking to start a business first, and then second, looking to scale a business?
Okay. So I think I have a lot to say here, but I'm going to say that if you're looking to start a business, I would really consider what your expectations are. Particularly if you are if you have a spouse or children, it looks really not glamorous, you know, and I often talk about how people romanticize entrepreneurship and they think it's going to be all TED Talks and book deals and that sort of thing. But really, it looks like making labels in your sister's basement till 2 a.m. when you're pregnant, you know, 9 months pregnant with your fourth child. So that's what it was like for me. It's not like, you know, you're going to put the kids to bed, pour a glass of wine and watch Netflix. So I think you need to really understand that those early days are really rough. You give up a salary. So you're not going to be able to go on holidays. You're not going to be able to buy that new car. Maybe you want the fancy stroller that all the other moms are pushing. You're not going to be able to do that. Make sure your spouse knows that you're not going to be chilling on the couch. You're not like, this is the thing. Everybody's got to be on board for what it looks like. If you're not completely supported by, if you have a family, then you're going to have trouble. So managing everyone's expectations, including your own, and making sure everybody's on board, I think is the first thing to do when considering starting. When you're talking about scaling, I think you need to make sure you're treating this business like a business from the start. Even when, you know, my co-founders and I started our first meeting, we took minutes. Like, we had a business plan, and you've got to make sure that you're treating it like a business. If you want to scale, I think I'm a big believer in your network is your net worth. You make sure you're talking to people. There's people out there who can help you, who, you know, you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. You be unapologetic about talking to a friend who's an accountant, talking to a friend who's in sales, talking to a friend who's a lawyer. Talk to all the people, pick all the brains, become an annoyance to people like me, ask lots of questions, turn up and keep turning up. And that is going to be probably your best way to start growing your business.
Brilliant advice for both ways, you know, starting and growing. And you're totally right about the support system and understanding what it takes to, you know, start and continue a business. I don't think people realize, even, you know, myself, I'm going on vacation in a few weeks to Europe, and everyone's like, you're going to have a great time. You're going to relax. I'm like, no, I'm taking my iPad. I'll be online. Like, it is what it is. What do you mean? No,
there's no holiday. Like, when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out, like, I remember, you know, having my 6th C-section, 8 days later, I was on stage with a baby speaking. Like, that's how that goes, right? And the weird thing is, you kind of want it to go that way. Like, I wanted to be reachable. If somebody from media wanted to interview me, heck yeah, I wanted to be there. If a customer was unhappy, I didn't want them to wait 2 days to hear from somebody. So, you know, those early days, you need all hands on deck. And people will be like, oh, you need to find a work-life balance. And yes, I get all that. You need to put things in place. You need to take some time away from your phone and all that. But in those early days, like, it takes a lot of grit, you know? And even to this day, and maybe it's more a personality thing, but maybe entrepreneurs are a bit like that. Like, I don't, like, it's my lifestyle, you know? Like, even when we're on holidays, my family knows I spend 1 hour a day clearing out my emails, responding to what needs to be responded. I can ignore what doesn't need responding to, but I actually never put out of office on my email. And that's not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that works for me. That works for me. If you need to take that time out, you take that time out. But in the early days, I think it's pretty rough. And people always say, well, how did you do it all? I'm like, look, if you find it a bit overwhelming, entrepreneurship, like, don't have 6 kids and start a business. Like, that's my advice. If it's not for you, don't do it, right? So you have to do what works for you. And I also am very cognizant of, you know, people project what they think you need onto you. So, you know, I have had the things where people want me in massage. So you need more. I hate having a massage. I feel like it's a waste of time. I've had one, and I spent the whole hour thinking about all the things I could be getting done. That's okay. My me time might look different. My me time is talking to you right now, you know? So don't let other people define that your me time is like, I don't want to sit in a coffee shop and flip through a magazine. But if you do, that's good too. Just understand what your needs are and make sure you fulfill them. For me, I'd rather hop on my laptop for an hour on holiday and not come home to a complete disaster and have missed opportunities. That's me. I'm okay with it.
Brilliant. And everyone needs to listen to that. That's exactly it. You got it.
What works for you works for you. But yeah, I totally get you're going to Europe, and I totally get that you're going to bring your iPad and check these things. You're a young entrepreneur. Like, that's the unglamorous part of it, right?
You know what? I wouldn't have it any other way.
I know, that's the thing.
There you
I
go.
hear you. I hear
Get
you.
it.
Yeah.
How do you stay ahead of competitors? Or how have you?
Yeah. Okay. So we were like first to market. Of course, we've had copycat companies and whatever. Everybody will. I always tell people, like, soon as you start a business, somebody will rip you off. That's okay. Like, being a fast follower is a legitimate business model. I mean, certainly you put things in place legally. So to limit these sorts of things, I mean, I'm not letting anyone infringe our copyright and those sorts of things. Um, but we've remained the market leader because we've remained the most innovative. And I think, being first to market was certainly an advantage. And always like, sure, if they want to do things we do 6 months later, go for it. Feel free to ride our coattails. But the fact of the matter is, we remain the most innovative. Our product has been tested and it is the best. So our secret sauce is our product also is the best in market. And also our customer service experience is second to none. Like, we are passionate about customer experience. We have a whole customer experience team. This is, I mean, that is just our core value. We are obsessed with our customers, customer obsessed. Like, our CX manager is like borderline. Yeah, there's problems. That's the obsession level. And I'll take it.
Amazing. I love it. What do you think your biggest Maverick move has been to date?
Oh, gosh, good question. Our biggest Maverick move. You know what? I'm gonna say maybe, I mean, there were so many things in the beginning, like when we, moved from my sister's basement, and then initially, like, we didn't move to a production facility, but we needed more space, so we made her buy a bigger house with a bigger basement. And then I think making the bold move to get a facility, because that's always like, wow, now we have like rent to pay. We have, can we sustain this? We were in a pretty good position to know our cycle by that point. We thought we'd be in my sister's bigger basement for 5 years. We were only there for 2 years. I think also a big thing for us was feeling like, when we had staff, like when we had team, because suddenly you're like, okay, now I need to know about HR. Now I need to, like, people are feeding their families on their salaries. We need to sell the labels. People's lives are depending on it. So that felt very like heavy and like a big, big responsibility as well. I think how we kind of defined our success, because people are always like, when did you feel like you had made it or you had arrived? And I would say, and this was maybe the biggest Maverick move, was when the last person quit their day job and none of us had salaries outside of Mabel, and we didn't starve our families. So that felt like a big ballsy move when like the last person quit their day job. We're like, okay, here we go.
All in.
All in. Yeah.
Let's talk about social justice and the work that you've been doing in the space.
Yeah. So for me, it started probably for me always, I was raised by a dad who was very involved. It was a role model for me. I was like that kid at high school who did all those things. I went into law, when I was doing my articles, I was working, behind bulletproof glass for a women's legal service because of the kinds of partners that our clients had. I always thought I would be, a legal aid lawyer, although I know burnout is high, and doing family law. So, that was always kind of my interest, feminist legal theory and that sort of thing. And then how does that transfer into my life now? Like, even at Mabel's, our core values, the way we give as a company, the way we contribute, the things that I do, I'm on, the United Way, Women United. I do a lot of like volunteerism and leadership in organizations, and really try to turn up. I try to give in all the ways that you can give, which is your time, your talent, and your treasures. So yes, I'm in giving circles. I believe in giving. Once you have, I give my time where I can. Now I'm a little protective of my time, to be honest. And there are ways that, you can give your time in ways that are for you. For me right now, I can give my time by emceeing a fundraising event. I'm not going to give my time by blowing up balloons for a day because I don't have that maybe once I retire, and that's okay. My talent, I can use my marketing talents, and experience to donate that sort of thing to organizations that are close to my heart. So there are very many different ways we can give. If you don't have the treasures to give, you can give your time or talent, and there's ways to give those teas. And also for me, a big piece of it is role modeling that kind of life to my children.
Amazing. And that's the perfect segue. I was going to say, let's talk about your 6 children.
Okay.
What are the tricks? Because I want to know. I only have 2. So
there's no only before 2. There's no only. I only have 2. 2's plenty.
Yeah, 2's good. What are the tricks? Because I still haven't figured them out to managing a household and a business.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of things that you can do. I have raised my kids to be fairly independent. They don't, I'm a big fan of natural consequences. So I have to be very productive, and they know this. So for instance, if they forget their lunch, they go to school without a lunch, I'm not going to run them their lunch. And they'll go hungry for a day or find an apple somewhere. It's fine. Nobody's had scurvy yet. They've all survived. If they forget their gym clothes, they can sit on the bench. If they forget their homework, they can stay in at recess and do it. If they forget their assignment, they can get a B instead of an A. These are just natural consequences. Otherwise, I would be running around dropping things off at the schools all over town all day long. So what I've found is that they only really forget their lunch once, and it's okay if they have to stay in recess. They will remember to pack their homework the next. I try to give them give them tools. I had a lot of visuals when they were younger. I had a before school plan of a checklist that they had to make sure they were doing, and I wouldn't tell them what to do if they looked like deer in the headlights. I'd be like, refer to your plan. And they'd be like, oh, right, I need to brush my teeth, or like they could do that. So I really tried to provide tools for their independence, let them learn from natural consequences. It's a team effort. They have jobs to do around the house. They contribute. It's a community. So I think that's one thing, is really honoring my time and how much I need to get done. And when I do that, I find that other people do that too. The other thing as well is, get the help. Get help. There's no shame in that game. I got a nanny when my 5th kid turned 1, and that was 3 kids too late. Like, that was silliness. So, I mean, get somebody to clean your house. And yes, yeah, if it's expensive, I get it. Feed the kids more craft dinner. Pay for that, because that is cheaper than marriage therapy. And that, will give you peace of mind. And especially because a lot of entrepreneurs work at home a lot. Sometimes the space, I mean, I've never been one who's been like, that laundry basket is calling me. I can tune that out. I can tune out a lot. But if you're not the kind of person who can tune it out, you need to set up things for yourself, whether that's, time blocking. There's a lot of productivity hacks I do. And I will say, there's a great book. Do I have it around here? By Ann Gomez, who's a Toronto productivity coach. And she has a book. What's it called? Well, find it for the show notes, Ann Gomez. And she's got 4 kids, and she has amazing tips for, managing the mother load as well.
Love it. Everyone listening, especially husbands out there, listen, listen. Are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, great. All right. Lake or mountains?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to say both, but because I have a cottage, I'm a bit of a lake guy, I guess.
Love it. Okay, great. What's your guilty pleasure?
Oh, you know what? I would have said a few months ago, beer. I do love a nice icy cold beer, but I've been alcohol free for a couple of months because I'm dealing with the menopause-y stuff and it's killing me. So I'm trying all the things. I'm going anti-inflammatory diet. I'm doing all the things because you're not there yet. You wait. All my friends, it's tough. It's tough. So yes, I would say that was my guilty pleasure. Now, do I have a guilty pleasure? I probably don't really. I don't know. I don't feel guilty about much. I gave up guilt 5 kids ago. So yeah, there's no guilt in my life.
Brilliant. I love it. What movie have you watched over and over again?
Ooh, good one. I suppose, I mean, who hasn't seen Shawshank Redemption that many times? But I will say probably one of my favorite movies is Brokeback Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like, an unrequited love story. I've got lots actually, but yeah. There's also a bunch of movies I've never seen. People are like shocked, like I've never seen a James Bond movie. Like there's a lot like Godfather movies I haven't seen. Like there's a whole lot out there that people talk about. I'm like, yeah, no, haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
Again, I'm planning for my retirement. I've got a
There
movie
you go.
list going.
I haven't seen Brokeback Mountain. I can't believe it.
Oh, you must.
I will. No, I will. What's something that you think is totally overrated?
Okay, coffee. I've never had a cup of coffee. I know I'm a tea guy and I just don't like the taste of it. But in a way, I feel like I'm missing out because there's this whole culture. And like I've got all these teenagers, all my kids are big coffee people. And I'm like, how did this happen? One just bought like a machine and they make these fancy iced coffees with syrup, vanilla syrup and whatever. And I'm just like, I don't get every once in a while, they're like, Mom, have a sip. Honestly, you don't know what you're missing on the sip. I'm like, Weird, eh?
Nope,
Yeah.
not weird. That's all good.
Yeah.
What was your first job?
Paper route and babysitting. I did a lot of babysitting and I had a paper route. In fact, sometimes I would take the kids I was babysitting on my paper route with me. I've always been a multitasker.
Brilliant. I love that. What's on your bucket list?
Oh, I like the expression, my bucket list is not to have one.
Okay.
You know what, there's a few probably travel things I'd like to do that, I travel a lot right now with work. I'm going to Dallas next week to speak at Prego Expo. I do a lot of that, so not a lot of time for just like regular travel. Also have a kid living in Australia. So my like last February I was in Australia. So kind of all my time like away is either for work or go visit Posey.
Oh. What is your legacy?
You know what? I don't know, right? I think other people define your legacy. I hope it's the sort of thing that, people have good memories. They always know, like, I'm very relaxed about my house. Like people come over all the time and I don't clean, like I don't let that sort of thing stop me. If you walk away and say, oh, Julie's house is messy, I'm good with it. I really don't care what people think. I just would rather them feel welcome. So I just hope that, when I'm gone, people felt like I made them feel important and that they always felt valued and heard in my presence.
Beautiful. How do you want to change the world?
One label at a time, baby.
Beautiful. I love it. And last question, what's next?
So, you know what? I'm just going to keep plodding away. Mabel's we've just started our 5-year strategy plan. We've got lots of fun things on the horizon. I already wrote my book and I don't plan on writing another. So that is off the bucket list. Whew, that felt like, when you write that last exam of university and that weight lifts, that was me handing in my book to the publisher. So, it's just get these kids launched, support them through the launching, maybe experience a little bit of empty nest, that wouldn't be so bad. And just keep creating an awesome culture, great products, a great team, and great customer satisfaction at Mabel's Labels.
Amazing. I absolutely love this conversation. It was so much fun. You offered so much wisdom. I'm sure everyone will take a little nugget or two. Thank you so much for your time, Julie. What a joy.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Maverick Makers podcast is sponsored by Maverick Makers Content Creation Collective. We fuel your content pipeline through video, photography, design, and editorial. Let's connect to your audiences and make more sales. Learn more at maverickmakersco.com.